Welcome, everybody, and it's going to be a great show tonight. I just wanted to get this started right now. Um, anyway, uh, we had a great show last night. It was a lot of fun. It was just an impromptu because I wanted to get do some tests and get some things off my chest and kind of explain what's going on here. In this location, it's pretty crazy. Um, after I put everything together, I had a um, spiritual awakening, full spiritual awakening. All the pieces of the puzzle finally came together yesterday. Um, so it was amazing. Um, yeah, it's just freaking amazing. My mentor and I talked once I had my full awakening. And oh my god, she was like so ecstatic and so happy that it finally, happened. She kind of told me a lot about 6 years ago, and I just kind of blew it off. Um, but she told me it's coming, it's coming. But I had to. She couldn't tell me exactly what was going to happen, but yeah, it finally happened yesterday. So yeah, it's amazing. Once it did happen, just my whole body felt like totally different. Felt like my body was radiating like sunshine, and yeah, it's just amazing. So, um, and then once it happened, just so much stuff just started appearing, and it was crazy. Did a transfiguration in front of the camera when I first started setting up, and it freaked me out, but um, it was cool. Um, so I came on camera the other day when I first started, and you can see how dark my hair is. My hair was pure white, um, and um, during that time, during that time, and during that show on Wednesday, there was something that um, kind of manifested here behind me, um, and I couldn't really say anything because I was interviewing somebody, so I didn't want to interrupt the flow of the show. I had to wait till the guest left, and then I kind of explained what happened with who appeared or who is trying to manifest here, um, and it was pretty cool. And that person that did manifest has white hair, so that trans configuration or transformation that happened, it was totally made sense to me after. And then that's when I started asking questions, and everything came forward. Um, and that's what all put all the pieces of the puzzle together that I've been waiting for many, many years. So yeah, it's pretty amazing. So anyway, enough of that. If you guys watched the show last night, if you have not watched it, because I don't want to get into it, it's going to be a 30-minute rant, and I'm not going to repeat it. So if you guys want to see what I'm talking about, go watch the show from last night. Watch the first like 30, 35 minutes, whatever, however long it was. I went into very into detail on what's going on here. Um, just a brief synopsis. There's 4 spirits here. Um, yes, I had 4 spirits in my last location, but this one is even deeper. Since I grew up in this house, basically, and there's been a lot of activity in this house. There's also an elemental that hangs out just outside this building. So it's crazy, just very, very crazy. Um, so last night there was also a lot of activity that happened here. I took a little break, um, maybe 2.5 hours, 3 hours into the show, and I turned off the camera. And I should have left the camera on, but it is what it is. But I came back and turned it back on and kind of explained what happened. And people were like, "You should have left the camera on," but uh, other people felt it. So anyway, it's just crazy, but it's so tonight's show. I think Kevin's going to come on, join me, and we're going to talk about a few things. I talked to a few other people that I'm trying to get on to join me to talk about some other things that are also that they want to talk about. Um, so in the future, we're going to talk about other other things. So we're gonna not only start doing ghost box sessions. There's going to be um, other types of spirit communication um, that we're going to be discussing. So it's going to start getting a lot deeper. Um, it's the show's going to totally take a change. We're going to get into some higher spirit communication, not only ghost boxes, but other things. So, yeah, if you're really into spirit communication, then just stay tuned because things are going to take a drastic change. It's going to get a lot, the show's going to be a lot different um, moving forward. So, anybody could just start doing a show doing ghost box sessions, but this is going to get a lot more intense. Because spirit communication or doing ghost box sessions, it's lower level communication. Um, so doing higher level communications a lot different. Um, so yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. We're also going to be doing some visual ITC tonight. Maybe we might run Echovox again tonight. I do have the tablet here, so it's gonna be cool. Yeah, I have the heater running, so if you can hear the little hum in the background, I'm not gonna freeze again tonight. Last night it got down to like 38 degrees in here, so I was freezing. I had double jackets on and I was still freezing. So anyway, so we're gonna bring Carl on here in a few minutes, or probably in a couple of minutes. He's already on backs waiting. So it's gonna be cool. Carl and I will talk a little bit. I don't know exactly what we're gonna be doing yet, but we will be discussing some some ITC and maybe some other things. So um, it's gonna be a cool show tonight. I already have the visual ITC running. All I have to do is turn it on and share it, but I will do that once um, or not Carl, Kevin. I'm sorry. Um, see, Carl, I have you in the back of my mind. I've been thinking about you a lot, brother. So you're in my thoughts. Um, no, Kevin, not Carl. Um, anyway, sorry about that. Uh, Yeah, I mean, I would love to have Carl on the show. Um, we'll talk about that some other time, maybe. Um, but yeah, I mean, Kevin's backstage already. He's waiting in the green room, so we'll bring him on here shortly. Actually, you know what? I'm just gonna bring him on. I did enough talking. So, anyway, without further ado, let me bring him on. What's happening?
Hey,
Let me change the background. All right, cool. Sorry about that. My mind's just like all over the place.
I brought some friends along with me.
Oh, nice, nice. Yeah, I have to get, Robert the doll. I'm gonna get one of the minis and throw it behind me. I gotta put some stuff behind me. So I changed up the lighting a little bit to light up my face a little bit. It was just a little dark, so I just made some changes, but yeah, I love the dolls in the background. So what's going on?
Nothing much. Let me see. Well, after watching most of the show from the other day, your Impromptu show,
Yeah,
you were talking about fear,
yeah,
and that comes up so much. And in fact, just the other day, I was rewatching this movie. It's a documentary. You ever heard of Dorothy Izat?
yes.
Okay, so I went back and watched her movie again just a couple days ago, and it was a she's a UFO researcher,
Mhm,
and initially she was having these great contacts, um, and and then she started getting bombarded with people from her church going, "You're talking to demons. This is the devil." And she goes, "I started having fear and doubt." And then at that point, she started seeing like shadow figures in her house.
mhm,
And then once she stopped doing that, once she stopped having the fear and doubt, that all just and everything right back to normal, peaceful, UAPs seeing it up in the sky. She wasn't having these dark, visitations. So I thought it was kind of ironic that you guys were talking about that the other day, and this comes up over and over and over again. And I think with my experiences, and I think you touched on it too, was that I did not have fear
mhm,
during my experiences,
mhm,
which afterwards I would be like, well, why didn't that bother me? But I think the very first case I went on, it was we were exploring this house where this woman in town here where I live, she murdered her husband, chopped him up in the basement, stuck him in a barrel and put him in the shed. And he was in the shed for about 2 years before she got caught. After she killed her boyfriend.
oh my gosh.
Yeah. So what was kind of funny was that I was walking around the outside of the house. I'm sticking the camera down in the basement through the window, and I got done. I'm like, that was strange. I didn't have fear. In fact, if anything, I was thrilled about this. Nothing ever happened, but
Right.
I bought it. I walked away. I'm like, that was weird because why wasn't I like worried or afraid or anything like that? And then thinking about going back and from my experiences growing up, um, I had I think I was like 16, 17 years old, and I was upstairs in the kitchen. I went upstairs to get a snack. It was probably like I think it was 12 o'clock, and my dad he has this clock in the living room, and it went off, and he usually he turns off before he goes to bed. So the chimes were waking him up. So I'm watching. I'm like, well, I'll wait. I'm not going to startle him or anything like that. So you could see the street light. It lit up the living room enough where you go walk around. And so anyway, so I'm watching him. He walks over toward to the clock. He turns around and starts walking back to the bedroom.
Mhm,
Something his exact same size. I said him, the same shape and everything. There was like a shadow. I don't say it was a shadow figure, but
right.
it was just this dark mass of a person, the exact same size, followed right behind him. It stopped. Now he kept walking. It stopped, turned its head to look at me, turned back, and kept following him.
Oh, wow.
And I could see it was a body. It was still translucent,
Mhm,
but it was a person. You could see the shoulders, that the head, the
right.
arms swinging, and everything. And I was like, that was weird. But it didn't scare me or anything like that. And then I was like, I was like, well, that was it, chalked up to an experience. I never mentioned it to him until like recently. And
Oh,
he
wow.
yelled at me for it because I for not telling him. And then let me see. Um, now I did have a kind of a odd experience here too. Several years later, I was 19, and it was I just got back from college,
Mm,
my first year, and I was sleeping in the basement. There's a pull-out bed, and I didn't want to go upstairs yet because I know my parents were going to yell at me about getting a job. And
right.
so I just want to have a few days off. Not. I just want to chill. I don't want to do anything. Just unwind. And it was probably 7:30 in the morning. You could see light coming down um, and I'm laying out on my side trying to go back to sleep again. I could hear everyone upstairs talking and stuff. And I'm looking up the stairs, and I can see this shimmering form of a person, probably like a silver color,
Mhm.
and it was walking down the stairs. And I'm just looking, and thinking back on it, I had no emotion. I was just looking at it walking down the stairs. It got to the bottom step, and I don't know how much time I was blacked out. I instantly just blacked out.
Mhm.
I found myself on my back with my arms behind my head pinned down, and
Wow.
and I had this sensation of evil, that
Mhm.
I was overwhelmed with evil. And I'm just laying there, and I'm starting to struggle with it. And this voice just spoke to me, very calm, no emotion or anything. It goes, in order to see it, you must keep your eyes closed. So I kept my eyes closed. I couldn't see it, but I could see the entire room as if my eyes were open.
Wow.
And I still had that feeling, and I was struggling. And right when my right arm was able to move, I opened my eyes and jumped up out of the bed. I was like, what the hell was that?
Right.
And at first I was like, well, I freaked out a little bit, but at the same time, I was like, that was weird, but it didn't, I never told anyone for maybe 8, 10 years ago when I started ghost hunting it. Um, I just never brought it up. And I went to bed that night. I was like, okay, I was wary, but within a couple of days, it was just right back to normal again.
Yeah.
And thinking about it, it's like, well, that should have scared the shit out of me, but it didn't.
Right.
Um, and probably I was in my 30s. I joined the National Guard
Mhm.
after 9/11 happened, and so I was always out jogging and stuff like that. I had to be in shape, for it. And twice while I was out, it was probably in June afternoon. I'm just jogging along, and there's the first time it was it looked like a black dash mark. It was more of a subdued color, subdued black. I was looking. I was like, okay, it's an afternoon. It just rained. I'm going to look for a rainbow. I know there's some hawks and a couple of eagles in the area, so I'm just looking up in the sky, up on the ridge, and between the two peaks on this ridge, this black thing started coming towards me. And I'm
Mhm.
like, and my thought was, that's a big bird. And then I have the processing going, well, it's got to be an airplane. And it's
Right.
getting closer. I'm like, it's not an airplane. There's no wings. There's nothing. There's no noise. Nothing reflect. It looked like a dash mark. Like on your keyboard, you hit the
Mhm.
dash. It's
Mhm.
what it looked like. And it came towards me, and it did a 90-degree turn, and it started going across me and started slowly going down. I want to say it was probably maybe 10 miles an hour.
Wow.
And I started running towards it. I was like, okay, what the hell is this thing? It's not a plane. There's no airports or nothing. It's farmland. It's a rural area. And there's a hill across the street, and it was going to crash into the hill, or it was going to land in a cornfield or go up the valley where I was running. And I didn't see anything else of it. I didn't hear anything, nothing. And then a couple of years later, I was doing that same jog path again. This time I was looking up and not that far down the street, but this time it was closer to where I lived. I happened to look up at the top of the hill, the first hill, and there was this. It was the strangest object I've ever seen in my life. It was probably about 50 feet across. It was a sphere shaped. It was completely gold, like it was, and it looked like something you would see, like say, like a plane reflection of the
Mhm,
sun. You know, you
mhm.
get that
Right,
starburst.
right.
Well, it was like 50 feet in size, roughly. It was not even a third of a mile away. And what was really strange was that all the rays were coming out, and it was super bright in the middle.
Mhm.
Um, and on the outer third, you can see the rays curve back on itself. And there's probably maybe like 8 or so of these rays curve back, the spokes.
Right.
And it looked kind of like a drawing of an atom. You know how they show like the
Yeah,
electrons around.
right,
It looked
right.
kind of like that, and it just slowly drifted along the top of the ridge. And it was probably maybe I was almost jogging to keeping up with it, and it probably lasts close to a minute,
Mhm.
and it just slowly just drifted. And I'm like, that was really cool. And then after this time too, I was like, I didn't have fear. The only regret I ever had was I didn't try to communicate with it, because at the time I wasn't around. I wasn't in the UFOs, UAPs, and I didn't realize I could try to make contact with it,
Mm.
either like telepathy or just saying hi and waving to it. I kind of regretted that, but it never bothered me. In fact, I was thrilled that it actually happened. But at the time, no emotion, no fear, and I didn't have missing time or anything like that. It was just a pleasant experience.
Yeah. Now, did that have any sound also? Because what you're describing is exactly what I kinda mentioned, what I experienced as a kid.
Mhm.
Um,
There was no sound,
yeah,
there was nothing, no smoke, nothing reflecting off it like a canopy or anything like that, like
mm,
windows, nothing like that. I never seen anything of that shape or anything like that described by anyone. Like I said, it was a brilliant gold color, and in the probably like the middle 2/3 of it was super bright. It was almost like staring at the sun.
mhm,
If I was because the sun was actually up behind me.
mhm,
If I was to look directly at the sun, you could look at it for a few seconds, and then it burns too much, and you got to look away. It was
right,
almost that bright,
mhm,
and it was probably like I want to say 1:30 in the afternoon.
mhm,
It was a hot June day, beautiful. It was blue sky, and then what got me was I'm following. I'm like, well, maybe it could be reflection off of something, and then off in the distance, I actually saw a plane flying by, and it was like a microscopic flare from off the sun. I'm like, this thing would have to be the size of the mountain if it was the size of a plane. For that size of a reflection,
yeah,
and
and
yeah, and
no,
I was
that
just blown away.
yeah,
But
no, that's exactly because like I was saying, when I had my encounter with that same type of object, um, it was about the same size, about 50 feet, I would say,
mhm,
but it was flying low and fast off of the ground. Um, it was maybe I would say maybe 100 feet off the ground, if that, but it was moving, I wouldn't say like super fast, but I mean, it was moving, maybe as a car, maybe doing maybe 50 miles an hour,
okay,
across. And there was no sound. There was because at first I thought it might have been a helicopter because there was a lot of crop dusters that would come over because we live near a strawberry field, and the helicopters would come in whenever they're crop dusting. They would come in at an angle, turn, and then they'll start dropping, their chemicals. But it wasn't a helicopter. And I mean, but we're kids at that time. We're like, when we realized what we were seeing, there was a little bit of fear. So we went back home.
Right,
When you're a kid, you don't. I think when you don't know what you're dealing with, there's a little bit of fear.
right,
And then once I started getting older, and realizing what I was experiencing, the fear all of a sudden just went away. You would think you would get scared because, I'm seeing apparitions, I'm seeing shadow people, I'm hearing disembodied voices, and you would think like, oh, that would be a little terrifying, but no, all of a sudden my fear, I don't know what that clipping is. There's like some clipping in the background. Does my mic sound okay?
it sounds like that clipping noise. It just
Oh,
started
my
going.
my mic does? Okay, hold on
Yeah,
one second.
yeah. I
Okay.
don't. I yeah. I was thinking about this too, even before just coming on the show. I'm like, it's like especially as a kid, it's like that this is like abnormal, but it's normal.
Yeah.
And and like in my case, I never felt like I had to tell anyone. I'm like, well, my parents will probably think I was lying or make it up. But then again, what are they? Anyone else going to do?
Hold on one second. Let me turn this off. I gotta come out. Let me turn this off real quick. Check. What's that noise?
Doing it.
Yeah, there's something happening. I don't know what it is. It's messing with us again. Let me do this.
Just don't fear it.
Yeah, no, exactly. All right, let's see. No,
Nope.
it's still there. Hold on a sec.
Now it's gonna get echoing.
All right, let me do something here. I don't know what's going on. It just started. Okay, let's see. No, it's still there. I don't know what's going on. Let me see what else is running.
All right, do you want to talk about this other experience that I had?
Yeah, go ahead and speak, and let's see if it goes away. I'm gonna shut this down. Go ahead and continue speaking.
All right. So probably the first time I realized I was having experiences, I think I was 3 to 4 years old, and I had my bedroom at this time was at the top of the stairs on the second floor. My sisters were down the hallway, and I would my the top of the bed was near the doorway, and we had this rug that had like those hook and loop kind of a rug where if you walk along it, it makes like this brushing noise. So
Mhm.
I'd be laying there in bed trying to go to sleep and just listening, and every so often I would hear like someone walking down the hallway, but they never get anywhere. It just walking and just repeats and it's constant. And I would just be laying there and I would just be laying there and I I would I wasn't afraid of it. I didn't have any fear of that. And my door stayed open and I would just listen to it. And over time I just got used to it. And then it just went away. So I don't know at what point it went away or because it never bothered me. And then about I want to say I was probably about that same age. I was probably 4 years old. My mom said that she went upstairs to tuck me and my sisters in, and she got to my and while she was walking up the stairs, she noticed she walked through this cold spot in the stairwell.
Hey, Kevin, hold on one second.
All right.
I'm gonna do something real quick. Okay, let's see if does that sound any better? No, it's still there.
It's the same.
All right, hold on. I'm gonna quit this real quick. Check, check.
Same.
Now there's something. Yeah, it's still the same. Hold on one second. Hold on, I'm trying to fix it. Hold on one second.
All right.
All right, let's see if this is better. No, it's still happening. What the heck is going on? Check. Check.
It's still there. Now you're just a
Yeah,
little quieter.
Check.
Now it's echoing more.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out why. Check. I don't know
I can
what's
hear you.
going on.
Yeah, but still that.
Yeah, it's check. Check. Check.
It's still bad.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out what's going on.
Now, was that doing that the other day or something else?
No, it was something else, but there's like,
Worse
why is
now.
it coming out of there?
That was getting worse.
Check. Yeah, it's something. Hold on one second. Oh, hold on. I know what. Check. 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 It's still there. Check. 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 I might have to do a restart. So we might have to restart the show. Something with the audio just went bad.
That is strange.
Check. Let me do this. Check. Check. Nope. Check. 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 Nope. Still something else. Hold on one sec. I don't know what it is. All right, I'm gonna have to do a restart. We're gonna have to shut down and then come back.
All right.